wonder about people? How someone can be so incredibly smart, but also kind of cruel. Or maybe they're super generous, but you just can't rely on them for anything. Well, today, we are going to dive into a framework that helps make sense of all that. The complex, messy architecture of human character. Let's get right into it.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about why we even need a map for character. Then, we'll explore the 4 key dimensions, our inner strength and our outer impact. After that, we'll go deeper into truth and awareness. Then the fun part, putting it all together to see the whole picture. And we'll wrap up with a big idea about what this means for the person you're actually becoming.
All right, so let's start with the big puzzle itself. I mean, we're all trying to figure out ourselves and understand the people around us, but a lot of the time it just feels like we're dealing with a big old bundle of contradictions.
Seriously, think about it. We all know people like this, don't we? That boss who's a genius at planning but has zero empathy. Or that friend who has a heart of gold but their own life is a complete mess. These aren't just little quirks. They're actually clues that our character has different parts to it, and they can operate totally independently of each other.
And that's where this framework comes in. Imagine having a map for all that complexity. A map that gives us 4 different axes to help navigate the wild territory of human nature. It helps us see that these aren't really contradictions at all, but more like different coordinates on a much bigger chart. So let's jump into our first 2 axes. These are probably the most intuitive ones, the ones we can see and feel most easily. You can think of them as our inner world, what's happening inside us, and our outer world, what we actually do. The first axis is what we call strength. And we got to be really clear here. This has nothing to do with how much you can lift at the gym. It's about your ability to govern yourself, your impulses, your emotions, your fears. It's all about self-mastery. And you can see the contrast so clearly here. Someone on the weak end of the spectrum is reactive. They're just pushed around by their own feelings or what's happening outside them. But a strong person, they're proactive. They choose to act based on their values, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable. And that really is the heart of it. In this model, true strength isn't about controlling other people. It's about having mastery over yourself. Okay, so if strength is our inner world, the second axis, goodness, is all about our outer world. And here's the key. This isn't about your intentions. It's not about what you meant to do. It's about the actual, real-world impact your actions have on other people.
You can see the split pretty clearly. A bad person, in this context, is someone who causes harm, whether they mean to or not, and then they make excuses for it. They treat people like tools to get what they want. A good person, on the other hand, is actively trying to reduce harm. They see other people as, well, people.
Okay, so we've got the internal and the external down. Now, we're going to go deeper. We're getting into the more spiritual layers, the stuff that's really at the foundation of what makes us who we are. Our third axis is called godliness versus evil. Now hang on, whatever your personal beliefs are, just for a second, think of godliness here as being aligned with a capital T truth. It's about being in sync with reality, with compassion, with the basic fact that we're all connected. And this slide just lays out the 2 paths so well. The evil path is all about separation. It's twisting the truth for your own benefit, creating conflict, and not feeling a thing when you hurt people. But the godly path, that's about connection. It's about wanting the truth, even if it bruises your ego, and acting from a place that sees we're all in this together. And that is such a powerful way to think about it. In this framework, evil isn't some kind of monster lurking in the shadows. It's an action. It's the act of turning your back on what is real and true and connected. So, we have strength, goodness, and godliness. 3 huge ideas. But what's the operating system that runs the whole show? What's the one thing that determines where we fall on all 3 of those other axes?
And here it is. Awareness. This is the 4th axis, and you could argue it's the most important one of them all. It's the foundation. Because without awareness, we're all just running on autopilot. Real choice isn't even on the table.
You know, an unaware person is basically trapped in their own programming. They can't see their own biases, they can't see their patterns, so of course they can't change them. But an aware person, man, that's like having a superpower. They can actually watch their own mind at work, and that gives them that precious little space to choose a different way. And that's really the bottom line, isn't it? You simply cannot change what you cannot see. Awareness is the key that unlocks the door to growth on every single one of the other axes. Okay, now for the really cool part. Let's put all of these pieces together
This is where the map stops being a theory and becomes a super powerful tool for understanding the real, complicated people we meet every single day. This table breaks it down so perfectly. Strength asks the question, can I even control myself? Goodness asks, are my actions helping or hurting people? Godliness asks, am I in sync with the truth? And then there is awareness, the one that underpins it all, asking, am I even paying attention to any of this? And this is where you start to recognize people, right? That strong but bad person? That's your classic movie villain, incredibly disciplined but for harmful ends. The good but weak person, that's the kind friend who just gets walked all over. These combinations show us that just being good at one thing isn't enough. The real goal, the rare ideal, is to grow in all four areas. So that brings us to the end. What does all of this mean for you, for me? This framework isn't just a neat tool for analyzing other people. Its real power comes when we turn that map around and look at our own path. So, to wrap this all up, let's play with a metaphor. We're going to borrow an idea from quantum physics. And it is super important to say this isn't literal science, okay? It's just a really powerful way to think about our own potential. So first, you've got the observer effect. Just think of this as your awareness. The things you pay attention to are the things you act on. Simple. Then you've got probability. This is the idea that right now you contain multiple potential versions of your future self. And finally, entanglement reminds us that our actions don't happen in a bubble, they ripple out and affect everything. That connects right back to goodness and godliness. And again, just to be crystal clear, this is just a powerful way to think about the choices in our own lives, not a physics lecture. So here's the final thought to leave you with. If you are this field of potential with all these different versions of you that could exist, then every single choice you make, a choice driven by your strength, your goodness, your godliness, and your awareness, it collapses one of those possibilities into the real you. This framework isn't just a description of who you are, it's a map for who you could choose to be. So the only question left is, who are you choosing to become?